Is it amazing to you as somebody who spent so long thinking about otherworldly visitors that now they're releasing all this information and no one really cares?
Well, the world is in such chaos
No
now.
one cares.
No one cares.
I couldn't care less.
If this happened during the middle of the Obama administration when everything was going great, it would be giant news. Okay. There's some of them that could easily be drones because they're not moving at spectacular speeds.
Right.
They're just sort of like hovering over aircraft carriers. Those could be drones. They could be some new style of drone or some new kind of technology that maybe some foreign government has. But there's other ones that were spotted by Air Force pilots and then tracked, and they have detailed data on the speed of these things. They have video of these things going what appears to be thousands of miles an hour, instantaneously accelerating with no visible propulsion system, no heat signature. They don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
And this is from 2004 off the Nimitz. Commander David Fravor, who was a fighter jet pilot, is like rock solid credentials. You can't, and I've talked to the guy, I had him on my podcast, and even better, he was on Lex's podcast, and Lex did an even better job than I did, and talked to him for 2+ hours about this, and the guy's incredibly credible. That fucking thing, whenever he was tracking, went from, the Nimitz tracked it, they tracked it on radar, they tracked it with the onboard sensors, the things that they use for targeting enemy crafts. They tracked this thing from the Nimitz. It went 80,000 feet above sea level to 50 feet in a second.
That's crazy.
They don't know what the fuck it is.
They don't know what it is.
They know that it was jamming their radar. They know it was jamming them, and then it moved when it took off at insane rates of speed. They couldn't even watch it. It just, it's gone. And then it re-emerged at the cat point. The cat point is the predetermined location where the jets are supposed to scramble to during this exercise. So it's literally saying, I know where you guys are going.
Right.
You're going over here.
Right.
Whatever the fuck it is, who knows? But does that mean that it's from another planet? No. It could be some fucking insane technology that the military's developed.
That we don't know. It could be
because
DARPA.
have you seen that shit where the military, there's patents for UFO type, see if you can find what those are, because they're developing, or at least they've attempted to develop some sort of gravitational drive that would indicate that at least there's been some thought about developing a craft like that. Now, if you put a person in one of these things and you shot them off thousands of miles an hour, they turn into jello.
Right.
But who says it's a person?
Who knows?
We got a rover on Mars right now taking pictures. There's a helicopter attached to it.
Right.
You got high-resolution photographs from Mars. Here it is. Docs show Navy got UFO patent granted by warning of similar Chinese tech advances. This is what I'm saying. Patent document indicates that the U.S. and China are actively developing radical new craft that seem eerily similar to UFOs reported by Navy pilots. Now, if this is like on paper somewhere where they're trying to get patents and they're telling you that the military already has something like this, what we're getting is years later.
Right.
They've been probably developing shit like this for decades.
Forever.
So they probably have some sort of working thing that can move in extraordinary ways.
We are not going to care until there's a Mars attack style raid on the White House, like that movie. Yeah, if you're not going to, if you don't land with ray guns and start blasting people, I don't even give a shit. Like, no one's going to care.
We're real weird with it now.
Yeah, the information is so tough to come by that I've just always said nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me.
There's something going on. There's something going on, but what that something is remains to be seen.
Have you seen that video of the Men in Black that walk into this? It's just two very tall, weird dudes that walk into like a hotel and then leave. Jamie, you could find it easily, and it's just these guys that were supposedly like, you know, something weird happened, and supposedly they're guys that come in like after something weird happens and like shut it down, and they're both very tall and I don't know if it's fake or not. I don't think it is fake though, but I don't know. It could be fake.
Where can one find this video?
It's on YouTube or something. Jamie can find it. It's the real Men in Black. It's like the real, you know, whatever. You know, supposedly there was something that happened where, I don't know, somebody went in after it. Like somebody had to go respond to something, and these two like weird looking dudes came in. Very strange. There's got to be a Men in Black. If there are, if we know about, there's got to be some part of the government that deals with that. Yeah.
But that's what I would do. If I was going to go interview some guy about UFOs, you know what I would do? I'd put like weird white makeup on. And I'd dress in a black suit and I'd ask him strange questions while wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I'd have him freak out.
Why not?
Why not fuck with him?
Yeah.
Why not leave him to the point where what he's going to tell all of his friends is so crazy, no one's going to believe it?
Well, that's part of, I think, what a lot of it is.
Imagine if you have an aircraft that's shaped like a pyramid, right? And you're flying it over Philadelphia.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay.
That's all it is. I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
Dudes wearing suits. But it is.
To me, that proves it.
Yeah, what is that?
It proves it to me.
What does it say?
That proves it to me.
But what is the Niagara Falls? Show canceled. What is that?
Immediately.
What is he saying?
Finally, we have perhaps the most conclusive evidence of the real Men in Black. A hotel in Canada, and the manager was a little disturbed when his bellboy informed him that the previous day the hotel had been visited by two tall men dressed completely in black who demanded to speak to him.
Maybe they were Johnny Cash fans.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean? What is this? They had no eyebrows? Oh, see, that's what I would do. I would fucking shave my eyebrows or put some makeup on over them so that I look like a weirdo. And then make them real uncomfortable when they're telling their friends, man, you're not going to fucking believe this. Look at these guys.
Here they are.
Okay, that's got to be from a movie, right? What is that? Know. What is that image from? Let that guy play it out. Let's hear it.
That concludes our look at the Men in Black. But remember, guys,
that guy's got striped ties.
Look at just a handful of real-life accounts involving these mystery men. There are many more stories to look at online.
Yeah. Oh, well, as long as they're online.
It was a British guy. There's the Men in Black. There are many mysteries to look at.
As long as there's more stories.
Yeah, online.
That's
there's just more content online we can sink our teeth into.
It's going to be a weird world when our kids are our age. It's going to be a weird, weird world.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even think we could begin to comprehend it. I think we'd be totally guessing. I think there's some shit that's coming around the corner. Do you see that NASA Tom DeLonge thing? Everybody keeps harassing me about the video of the UFO.
I'm reading they're putting out more videos all day long, like not just one. Like
Put
lots
them out.
of videos.
Let's see them.
Let me see one of them videos. Is Tom DeLonge putting out videos?
No, his organization is putting out videos
of UFOs.
Yeah, it's a fighter pilot, an FA-18, I believe, is chasing this thing. And it's showing all the details of like the altitude, how fast it's going, what pitch it's at, and all that jazz. I don't know what that means, what pitch it's at. But they're watching this thing. They're trying to figure out what it is. One of the guys is like, it's a drone. It's got to be some kind of a drone.
Do you remember that quote? It could be a total bullshit quote from Werner von Braun that he said right before he died that beware of the fake alien invasion.
Did he say that?
In so many words.
I hope he did. I hope he did, and he did it just to fuck with people. See,
maybe.
That's it flying around. There's a whole fleet of them. Look at my ASA.
Oh my gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
So they're following it for a while, and then it changes direction.
That's not our LNS, though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's a look at that thing. It's rotating.
So whatever that is fucking super interesting. Here's the thing about aliens, right? How often do you think they'd have to visit? I think they could get it done once in the 70s and be done with us. They'd check us out and they'd be go, look at these crazy assholes. This is what we're going to do. We're going to fucking, we're going to install some cameras on the moon. These stupid fuckers, they won't even be able to see it. We'll just put some big ass cameras to film them from the distance and let's get out of here. These people are crazy. Like this, they're going to have nuclear power with these assholes and we would never see them again. So like, if that really is a UFO, if it really is from another planet rather, how many times do they have to come here? If they are real, how much evidence would you really see of them? Would you see it once every 10 years? How
Who had
often
that-
would they come by?
Who had that joke that, was it you maybe? Someone had a joke that, like, maybe this is like the Tijuana of the universe or something.
Yeah, this is the Tijuana of outer space. They really come down here when they're fucked up and they want to see a show.
Was that part of your set?
Yeah.
That was old.
Yeah, that's super old. That's 2000s, early 2000s. Yeah, I think I'm not a non-believer. That's for fuck sure. I think it's entirely possible. Like if I looked up in the sky and an alien ship flew by, I would never think there's no way that can't be real. It can't be possible. I would think, wow, they visited us. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there that's smart. I'm sure there is. It's a matter of what it would look like, you know? Would it even be in a physical form anymore? I mean, why do we assume that everything has to be in a physical form? What are you looking at? Kendrick Lamar says he saw a UFO, but nobody believes him.
Well, because I was asked, what do you think they were doing? And I said, oh, you can look. Well, they were observing, because they're coming down and watching. Number two is they were communicating, because I think, in my heart, I think there was something under the water. I don't, what it was doing there. But when we went back,
because
it was gone.
of when you saw the cross-looking thing. Explain that again. So the disturbance seemed to be in the shape of a cross?
Yeah, I describe it as it's about the size of a 737. So just think if you submerge the 737, pointing it to the east underwater by 10, 15 feet. So as these waves are coming across, when they hit that object, they're going to break on top, just like you would with a submerged, like a seamount. So, and they're breaking it, and that's where the Tic Tac was at. That's the only reason we saw the Tic Tac. That's what drew our eyes down there, is we see this white water when it's a perfectly clear day with no white caps, and you go, whoa, what's that? And then you see the Tic Tac, and then we do all the chasing of the Tic Tac, and we're right there, and we turn around, and there's no white water. It's just blue as far as you can see. So at that point, you go, okay, what was it doing? Because there was obviously something there that's not there now. So that's where I say, well, it was observing us. Could have been communicating with whatever was there. And then someone else looked at me and said, I was talking to Lou, and he goes, what about prepping the battlefield? I go, okay. So if you go, where are these things from? We don't know. Are they from China, Russia, someplace else? I don't know. But it's a capability that we do not possess, to my knowledge. And if you ask me in 2004, because there's a lot of guys go, well, maybe it's some secret government program. I go, all right, well, let's be honest. One, if you have a propulsion system that gave the capabilities that we observed visually, that's a huge leap for mankind, period. So you would say, it was, think about it. It's going to be 15 years next month that we saw this. I would like to think that, okay, maybe let's just say in 2004 it was something, somebody had this, some government had this, ours, whatever. If you come to now, you go 15 years later, you don't think that technology would have emerged, because it literally would change everything we do. I mean, we're happy about, hybrid and electric cars and all this other stuff, but if you've got something that works like that, it would change air travel forever.
No visible system of propulsion. No plumes.
No, it's just as we joke. Think of a 40-foot long Tic Tac that can move at will through the air at speeds well beyond what we've ever witnessed. I mean, even when you watch a rocket go off, one of Elon's or one of the NASA, whatever, you sit there and I grew up during the Apollo ages, where you just look at the thing go up, 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 up. I've seen them shot out of Vandenberg, where you go, I'd sit in my house in Central California and you'd watch it go up and go, oh, you can watch that thing for a while. This is something that just like poof, in a matter of seconds is gone.
Now, are other pilots or other people that have sighted these things, have they also reported something larger that's in the water near it?
No.
Not
the ones I've talked to. I mean, I think, you can get on History Channel. There's all kinds of stuff on there about people talking about stuff. But, here's the question is, what do you believe? What do you not believe? And, my biggest frustration is, our incident, and even the folks on the East Coast, it is what it is to us. There's no reason to embellish. There's no reason to make stuff up. But yet there's still groups of people that are making stuff up. Like someone came out on ours, was talking about, and he's like, oh, I saw the whole video is 10 minutes long and it was doing all this. It's bullshit. What you see is that's literally the entire video. It's a minute and a half long. I think it's about a minute and a half long. what people haven't seen that I saw, I mean, I've seen the radar tapes because I had them. It was my squadron. I've heard, the Men in Black show. Maybe okay, I'll give you the credit if they did, but why wouldn't they show up and talk to the guys who actually witnessed it, chased it, and is one of the senior guys in the battle group?
Right. And it's also possible that Men in Black stuff was something that they used to do back in the day, and that program was no longer continued. And from Jeremy, you would know this, the older sightings, when they go back into the day, into historical sightings, and not Columbus, but, in the 50s and 60s, did they have similar things that they talked about where something moved in this manner?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and I want to dumb this down because that's how I had to understand it. When I was talking with Commander Fravor years before, I kept his secret, years before the New York Times blew it up, I told him it was probably going to happen. It wasn't by me. We were talking about it. This system that we have seen for over 70 years, just documented by our military, this is so important. This is a non-reactionary field propulsion system. Everything we know is a reactionary propulsion system. You push something out the back, it goes forward. This is not like a mag system. This is a gravitational field propulsion system. And throughout history, our military has documented them. And there has been ridicule. And I'll tell you exactly why. 1952, there was a huge flyover of Washington, D.C. Jets were scrambled. All the papers covered it. It's a very famous, case everybody can look up. It's an important case because at that time, a policy was started. And that policy started because it crashed our communications. The teletypes went down. The panic of the UFOs that were being seen by people with fighter pilots trying to capture and trying to engage them. And it crashed the teletypes. So our government was like, oh, that's not happening again. Because, Russia could use that as a scare tactic. So this policy of denial, don't look here, nothing to see, move on, UFOs are fake. That's what Project Blue Book was tasked to do specifically. The guy who ran it admitted that it was tasked to debunk this and demystify the UFO thing.
That's J. Allen Hynek, correct?
Right. J. Allen Hynek. He was once asked by a friend of mine, do you have the smoking gun? I'll give you this document. It's pretty amazing. It's an Air Force manual where they explain what they know about UFOs at that time in 1967. But here's the point. Yes, this has been going on since the beginning of recorded human history. These propulsion systems that are captured on footage, that is confirmed now by the Pentagon, like Commander Fravor's experience. This technology is not ours. It was here 70 years ago. You're talking about 15 years ago. We would see it now. These exact things at 20,000 miles an hour were going on 70 years ago, documented. Somebody has a non-reactionary field propulsion system. Now, are they aliens or some subsect of humans? Somebody has them. And they're flying through our airspace with impunity, and pilots like Commander Fravor, who, by the way, defended Los Angeles after 9/11. I mean, this is a guy we put all of our trust in. He was defending Los Angeles right after 9/11. So we got people like him coming forward saying, I saw this. And you get internet warriors being like, it's a bird, it's a glitch, it's Superman.
Tell me the UFO story.
All right. Well, first, I'm going to tell you about my dad real quick. My dad is Sicilian to the fuck. He born and raised Bronx, okay? Grew up in the 1960s in the Bronx. Always has to dress nice, very materialistic.
Wow.
1982 Jaguar XJ6, black, white leather, dressed to the nines. Everybody's crazy but him. Fuck them, they're crazy. Fucking right. So, tells me and my brother a story. To this day, the story's not changing. He told me he wished he never saw what he saw. 1973, my mother is pregnant with my older brother, Christian. He's 5 years older than me. Okay, so she's pregnant with him. They're outside in Yonkers. There's a little grass lot. And my aunt, grandmother, and mother are out there, and they're screaming, Tommy, you got to come out here. You got to come out here. So the way my father tells the story, he goes, I'm watching TV. What the fuck? I don't want to be bothered. He goes, I go outside, and he said, Paul, he said, sitting where I could throw a rock or shoot my gun at it, there is a fucking... And the way he said flying saucer, which is fucking hilarious. He goes, it's a fucking flying saucer. He said it's got a blue tint around it. Little portholes, but you could barely see. Quiet as can be. And he said they were all, and he said the time was weird. The time of night was weird. It was like that weird time where the sun's going down. You don't know. He said the timing of it was weird, and he said his time perception during it was very, something was off with the time. And he said, he said, holy shit, I could fucking shoot my gun at this thing. But then he goes, then I freaked out because I don't know if this thing's reading my fucking mind. So I went inside because he thought that it might have been. So he went inside, he looked again, he went outside, they looked at it, they were stunned, and he said, and like that, it turned into a dot in the sky. He said, like that, it turned into a star, like that. And he says, to this day, exactly the same thing. He goes, Paul, I always used to think those people were fucking nuts. He goes, all those people, I thought they were fucking hillbillies somewhere in the Midwest just trying to get attention. He goes, I know what the fuck I saw. And he goes, and I wish I didn't see it because I still dream about it, and I know what the fuck I saw, and I know it wasn't from here. That's 100% true.
What year was this?
1973.
73.
And then I Googled 1973 Yonkers, and many people saw something. But it was right above them.
Look at this. Man says 1973 UFO incident turned life upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm not surprised.
No.
That thing, it probably looked just like that. That one right there.
That's what. Yes. Yeah. When it's funny because when he describes it, it looks like that. Like in my mind, that's what he said it looked like, and that's what I always thought about that right there. But he said that it was gone in, like he said he couldn't believe. He said my mother's very like religious, so the other day we had a party and somebody. Might have actually been Giannis. He goes, I've got to find out. Can I talk? And she goes, I saw that. She goes, Giannis, I saw that. We saw that. That thing just disappeared. My father said if he had a picture in 1973 of where it was, nobody would ever had a picture like that. He goes, I've been a fucking millionaire. Yeah, he said nobody. It was right there. He said you could have maybe not thrown something, but shoot at it.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Well, that thing right there is a copy. That's a recreation of what Bob Lazar allegedly worked on in Area S4.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how he described it. He said this thing was running on something called Element 115. Element 115 is apparently some element that was just theoretical until like the early 2000s. I think it was like 2013 or something like that. They recreated it in a Large Hadron Collider. But before in a particle collider. But before that, he was saying that these people he was talking about this in 1989, that these people who were working on this thing, trying to back engineer it, they described it as being there's some sort of an engine that works off of this element, and that what it does is it bends gravity. So instead of like a rocket where fire comes out the back and it pushes the rocket forward,
right.
This thing bends space and time. So it bends gravity and pushes it through. Yeah, that's why it's totally silent. The thing is, it's like, it sounds crazy, but all these things that these pilots have seen that they describe having no heat signature, no visible means of propulsion, they all move in that same way.
Yeah.
Exactly how your dad described.
Yeah, and I didn't know that the bending gravity was why it was silent. But everybody that I know says they see one says silent.
Yeah.
There's never noise like any sort of engine, which is wild.
You know, few people saw it, then it took off and never came back again. Those people would be confused, like your dad, probably for the rest of their lives, just thinking about it.
Yeah, and he's so detailed every single time, and he goes, what I don't like about seeing it was I knew that I was seeing something that was just unexplained and not from here, and and I know it's out there.
Yeah.
And he's just fucked up by it. You know,
I would imagine.
What do you think they're doing? Like,
probably
what's the
making
goal?
sure we don't blow ourselves up. Probably when every civilization, I think there's probably a bunch of different kinds of life forms in space, right? Like millions of different kinds. But I think they must know that we operate off of biological needs. Like we have a biological need to procreate, a biological need to protect our village and to protect our stuff. And so we're warring still.
Okay.
But yet we're moving this technological age of sophistication where we have nuclear bombs and video that travels on your phone to the other side of the world in a half a second, and all the wild shit that we can do now that makes it very complex for us to manage both our primate instincts and the responsibility of having incredible power. So they're probably like, let's just fucking keep an eye on these assholes.
Why would they care, though?
Because they don't want us to blow ourselves up. Think about how many billions of years it took for us to become what we are. right? You go from the single-celled organism
Right.
to what a human being is now. That is a long road. For us to just knock the dominoes over because some
Just
guy has a
fucking-
hard-on, right? It's Putin, right?
Yeah.
Like if Putin just like, fuck you, I kill everybody, and he just fucking nukes Ukraine, and then we nuke him, and then China nukes us, and
Yeah.
you know, that kind of shit is a real possibility. And if I was an alien, I was like, look, they're so close to getting it right. They're so close to getting it together.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, dude. I don't know.
What do you think they're doing? If that's real, let's just assume that this isn't just a mass hallucination.
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
I think they're just curious, man. I think they're just watching. And I don't know. I would say I don't know that they care. I wouldn't think that they would care, but I think they're just watching us. But what if this? I always thought about this. What if they created us? Like we're their ant farm.
Yeah,
And
I thought of that too.
You know, like
Yeah.
one of them like fucked something down and just started something.
Yeah.
You know, what if they took like a chimpanzee or they took something that was here first, fucked it, and was like, let's look at this
Yeah.
thing grow. And then they're just looking and they're showing up and they're.
That's one of the things Bob Lazar said. He said
Did
that,
he?
Yeah, he said that one of their there was a bunch of briefings that they had and a bunch of documents. In one of the documents, they talked about how human beings are some sort of a product of accelerated evolution.
Did you talk about that alien craft that came into our
What happened? What are you talking
into our
about?
galaxy?
It did?
The one with the Hawaiian name?
Oh, so it's over.
You didn't hear about that one?
The one that looks like a joint?
Yeah, it looks or a big piece of poo.
Yeah, that's just a rock,
The big
right?
duty copter.
It's just a weird rock, I think.
No, they said that some like legit people said that it changed speed and went in different directions.
Oh,
and
legit people.
Legit people.
Oh.
Scientists
Oh, them guys.
said that it was it could be something.
Could be.
What does Neil deGrasse say about it?
He's not talking right now.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of a kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. What's this, Jamie? This thing right here. Yeah. Harvard scientists say aliens
of
may
miles
explain
away.
bizarre interstellar object. Yeah, I saw that, and then I saw someone refuting that they
Harvard
would.
scientists. Harvard.
Nobody wants to believe more than me, bro.
Come on, Joe. It's real.
Well, if I was going to mask my spaceship to fly through the galaxy, I would definitely make it look like a big rock.
Yeah, like a big
Yeah.
asteroid.
Right. Why wouldn't you?
Driving through space.
Maybe if they were like, look, if we just make this thing drive by them and don't change speeds, they'll have no idea. Just think we're an
Right.
asteroid, and they'll be psyched that we missed them. Like, yeah, good call.
And the
But
guy's
then
like,
someone
"Left turn!"
Someone just hits the gas. I'm tired. I don't want to. It's fucking taking too long.
What'd
Like,
you
he
do,
just
Dave?
decides,
What?
Dude, you got it. The fucking cops are behind us, Dave. Shit.
God damn it, Dave. You're not supposed to just take off.
I told you. 65, you fuck. Let's start throwing this weed out the window.
Why would it be so hard to believe? A space rock traveling through space.
That would be the move, right? I mean, if they're so advanced that they can travel through galaxies, they can make the shit look like anything they want it to.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you doll it up? This is one of many places where I'm stupid. But it doesn't necessarily need to be aerodynamic, right? Because it's not going through air. It's going through
No.
the vacuum of space.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm not wrong there. It could actually look like a rock.
It could
Like,
be-
the only issue would be getting it into space, right? The aerodynamics, assuming that you're shooting it from a planet with an atmosphere. Again,
Right, gravity.
should not be talking about this. Way too stupid.
No, let's
But
go.
let's keep-
That's
let's
what
keep
life's
going.
about.
If you're launching it from Earth into space, right?
Yeah.
What if you had it encased in like this outer area, sort of like the space shuttle is?
Yeah.
But then once you get to a place, you could jettison the outside of it, just like they get rid of those booster rockets.
Yeah, they fall
right?
off
They just fall into the
and
fucking
disintegrate.
land on people while they're fishing.
What the hell was that?
That has to have happened, right?
Yeah.
Imagine getting killed by a booster rocket flying out of space and hit you in the face.
Didn't
Fuck.
disintegrate.
But then they could do that. They could release the shell, and then they would just have the rock, and the rock would move through space, and it didn't matter what shape it was because it's in the vacuum of space.
Or just get it up into orbit, like the space station, go and build it in pieces,
Yeah.
and then launch it. Why are we here and what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like we haven't developed yet something that can go the speed of light. We haven't but if we do, then the whole universe is open to us. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the struggle of developing all this stuff is to get to a scientific level where we can really go.
I don't think they think the speed of light is even good enough.
Really?
Yeah, I
God
think.
damn it, that was my goal.
I think that like if you wanted to have options available as to what planet you're going to colonize, you're going to have to. Who knows? Like, what if you land on a planet? What if you land on a planet and it's like, hey, it's 74 degrees out, guys, it's all oxygen and nitrogen. It's just like Earth. Come on out here. But it's only been like that for 10 years, and then its cycle is really fucked up. Like 30 years from now, it's going to be an ice age.
It'll
and
be
then
horrible.
all the people have moved there, and they're going to freeze to death, and there's going to be no food at all, and the planet doesn't give a fuck. Like that is
all our science led us to that.
The TikTok craft or Tic Tac craft, goddamn
TikTok. TikTok.
Can't get away from that word. The Tic Tac craft that was spotted off San Diego, it performed something spectacular in terms of its ability to go from the surface of the water to 60,000 feet in how long?
So less than a second, but there's actually more to it. There was a craft. Remember, I was talking with Commander Fravor before this was public.
Yeah.
There was a craft under the water too. The Tic Tac would drop from 60,000 feet is what they're saying, 60 to 80. But that's the scan volume of the Spy 1 radar. So everybody I've talked with said they were coming from above. They were coming from outer space, dropping down within a second and stopping on a dime and then making the movements Commander Fravor saw, like inside of a glass. Then he said to me in our first talk ever, I'll never forget this, because I'm talking to a fighter pilot and I got to talk fighter pilot, and I don't, and he says to me, it noticed me. And I go, what do you mean it noticed you? And he says, as I was descending rapidly to engage it, it turned its nose and began to intelligently mirror my movements, came right up by me, and he says, faster than you can see, you can't even see a bullet leave a gun. No, it just, bam, shot off. He goes, we don't have anything like that. I wish we did. We don't. Whatever propels that is not a reactionary propulsion system. This thing instantaneously, without effects of inertia, can move. Now, and that distortion, that's exactly how Bob described these things would work or do work in his opinion. So Commander Fravor got to see it. Now, and these incursions, by the way, look, there's stuff George reports on. There's a lot he doesn't. As a filmmaker myself, people tell me stories all the time. These incursions, it's not a rarity. These are happening to this day. I just heard about one in Guam. Incursions over high security airspace over our weapons systems. And in Guam, there was just recently an incursion. The Pantex facility with the igloos where we hold our nuclear weapons and stuff like that, there are incursions over these. So to George's point, the reason why maybe all of this is secret is not because we can't handle it, people flip out. Maybe we just want to make sure we fucking get this tech first because it's a game changer.
Your thoughts on alien life, on life outside of this planet? Is this something you think about?
Yeah, I think there must be. Even in the solar system, I would not be surprised if we find microbes on Mars or on some of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn where there's liquid water.
Like Europa.
Yeah. And the reason is, if you think about, the reason I think that, and it's a guess, is because if you look at the history of life on Earth, then, so Earth formed and it was just there was no life. It was a ball of rock. And almost as soon as it cooled down, we see evidence of life. So certainly 3.8 billion years ago, possibly even further back than that, we see evidence of life on Earth. So somewhere along the line, geochemistry, active geochemistry became biochemistry on Earth. And we have some idea, that if you get gradients of temperature and acid and alkaline and the conditions that are naturally present on the surface of oceans, then complex carbon chemistry spontaneously happens. So we know that life, almost certainly we know that life began on Earth. I mean, the other option is it came from space or something like that, but it probably didn't, right? It probably began on Earth. So that means that at least here, that happened. And that we know that the conditions that led to the origin of life on Earth were present on Mars 4 billion years ago. And we know that they're present on Europa today. So I don't see that there's anything special. Life is just chemistry. And the idea that geochemistry becomes biochemistry is not fanciful because it happened here. So I think that given the same conditions, it would be surprising to me if the same thing didn't happen, in that life begins. So that's one of to test that is one of the great frontiers of science now. It's one of the great challenges, which is why another reason we're interested in Mars, because we know those conditions were there. We know there were what's called hydrothermal vent systems on the floors of oceans on Mars 3.8 or 4 billion years ago. So it would be good to know if what I've said is right. And the way we find out is to find life or evidence of past life.
There was a group of scientists that were speculating that it's panspermia, the idea of panspermia, that it's possible that octopi had come from somewhere else. Some frozen eggs had actually come from somewhere else and landed on Earth. And these were like legitimate scientists that were contemplating, not morons.
I don't think...
Have you seen this?
No, I didn't. But I mean, I think it's unlikely. So panspermia doesn't have to be unlikely.
Right.
I mean, for example, you might have seen the other day we found an Earth rock on the moon.
Yes.
Right. Well, it's back on Earth now because the Apollo astronauts brought it back, didn't they? It's 4 billion years old or something like that.
One of the oldest rocks ever found.
Yeah.
Right.
So we know that material gets transferred between planets. And so it's not inconceivable that microbes could survive that journey. Right. We know that microbes can survive in space, for example. So that isn't mad. It's probably unlikely, but it's not mad. But with the octopus, I hadn't heard that. But the thing is that the octopus is still extremely similar biologically to us. I mean, the differences are negligible.
Yeah.
So it's still got the same energy system with this thing called ATP and DNA and all that stuff. It's all very, very similar.
It was something about RNA and DNA. Did you find that article?
I'm looking at a different one from a different website. It's about the same thing. It has to do with the Cambrian explosion. And there were 33 authors on a paper that got published in the Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology that talked about this possibility. There are other people that disagree with it, though.
Right. I mean, I suppose I haven't seen it. So I think it's unlikely because the octopus is extremely similar to us. So that suggests a common origin to me. That I suppose the counter argument you could advance would be there's only one way to do life. So you could say that actually, given because the laws of physics and chemistry are the same everywhere, so maybe DNA is the only way to do it. So that's the way it gets done.
Which is why they're so similar to us.
Yeah, so
although so alien as well.
Yeah, they're not though. You know, that's the thing about an octopus. That's why I'm surprised about it, because they're not that alien. They're very similar.
Well, they're in their abilities. I mean, their ability to transform their outer texture and their color almost instantaneously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have incredible camouflage abilities that really don't exist in the mammalian world.
Yeah, but on a cellular level, you look at an octopus cell under a microscope and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Right.
Between an octopus cell and a human cell.
So the only way that would make sense is if all life comes from basically the same kind of building blocks and just varies depending upon the conditions and where it takes place.
I'm guessing, but yes, that must be the only way you could sustain that, given that they're so similar to us, because they really are, biochemically, that's the only way it can be done, given the building block, the toolkit, the laws of nature and the elements and so on that we have in our universe. What we do know about Earth is that although life began, let's say, 3.8 billion years ago, it wasn't until around 600 million years ago or so, or maybe at most 700, that you see any complex multicellular organisms at all. So for something like 3 billion years, it was single-celled alone. And that's one of the reasons why I would guess, if I had to guess, I would say that microbes would be common because life began very quickly on Earth. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find it on Mars. But complex life, multicellular life, insects, plants, intelligence, I would guess would be very rare because it took so long on Earth to get there. And it was just slime. Right. 3 billion years of slime. That was it.